Hello neighbors, Christopher Henry with the Noya Mountain Music Teaching Channel here. And we have the monthly Noya Mountain Music Workshop. This time it's going to be on backup September 22nd from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time through Zoom. You can sign up at noyamountainmusic.com/scoop and the link is in the description. And we're going to be looking at some backup today on two classic bluegrass tunes, Your Love is Like a Flower and Blue Ridge Cabin Home. But before we do that, I want to tell you about the amazing weekend I had filling in for Alex Leach with the Wyatt Ellis Band. And if for any reason you don't want to listen to me talk and tell stories, what? You can skip to about minute 2. That's where the lesson starts. We were up near Shelby, North Carolina, which is where Earl Scruggs was from, for the Earls of Leicester's big Earl Scruggs Festival there. Wyatt had a great show, and they included us on the tribute show to the Flatt and Scruggs album live at Carnegie Hall. We had worked up He Will Set Your Fields on Fire, which is quite wordy and challenging to remember all those lyrics, especially on a short-term study. But we kind of hung in there and ran through it about 50 times or so, and it went well on stage, and that was a lot of fun. And then we all got on stage with them at the end for the big finale, which was Rolling My Sweet Baby's Arms, and Sean Kent invited me up to sing a verse. That was really fun and exciting. And the next day, we went over to Wilmington, North Carolina on the coast, where Wyatt and his band were opening up for the fabulous Marty Stuart and his fabulous Superlatives. That was the first time I gotten to meet Marty, and I've always wanted to meet him because he's one of the most talented people in bluegrass music, and he's a bit of a mystical Mississippian, isn't he? That was really fun, and talked about some mandolin stuff, and then he got Wyatt out on his set and energetically and verbally passed his torch to him, which was wonderful to see. They played the Orange Blossom Special, and of course the crowd loved that. So had a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to more adventures with the young meteoric rising to stardom internationally, and just fabulous mandolin picker Wyatt Ellis. He's coming on strong with the singing, great band leading, and so yeah. All right, so Blue Ridge Cabin Home, talking about the backup. Let's just kind of get it in our head. So we're thinking about backing up the verse, which is like, it's so well beaten path down this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. That's halfway through. And I wandered alone to the place I call home in the Blue Ridge Hills far away. So it's a 1-4-5-1 progression. G, C, D, G. Rinse and repeat. You do that 2 times. You play through the 1-4-5-1 2 times. So what I want to mainly communicate is about how to use some nice double stops. We're going to be starting off with this 13 double stop here, which is the 10th fret of the A with your ring finger, and the 7th fret of the E with your first finger. And we're going to be leading that double stop towards the 4 chord through the flat 7. Okay, so this is what this whole progression is going to sound like. When we get to the C chord, we're going to do the Dean Webb lick. Okay, and then we're going to kind of do the same thing we did in G in D, back to the 1 chord where we're going to do another Dean Webb lick. If that sounds complicated, it's not too bad. Here's what it sounds like. 1, 2, going slow. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a Dean Webb lick. Here's the D. The 7th back to G. Dean Webb in G. Now we're going to go low, do the same thing, down to the 35 in C, Dean Webb, and a little simple arpeggio lick, back to the 1, and a little bouncy lick. Okay, so what's happening here? This is going to be some nice double stop tremolo, 16th note tremolo, that's going to lead us around, that's going to complement the vocal. And so the 7th, the flat 7th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's your major 7th there, that's the 9th fret of the A. The flat 7 is the 8th fret. That tone there leads our ear to the 4 chord. You might know it down here like this. So that little tone right there creates a G7. I believe that's a dominant chord that leads the ear towards the resolution in the 4 chord. So we're going to be doing that with double stops. So you got your 10 and 7. Then slide that back 2 frets to 8 and 5. And then we're going to end up on this 35 double stop in C. And if you don't know the double stops number system, you can check it out here. It's the 7th fret of the A and 3rd fret of the E. And why is it a 35? Because if you have your root here, 3rd fret of the A, that's It's your C note, so we're relating all this to the key of C, or the chord of C in this case. But before we do, please like and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that little bell there for the notifications, and you'll get all the good stuff from Noya Mountain Music. Thank you. And please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Noya Mountain Music. So you got 1, 2, 3. If you're walking up the scale, the major scale from the 3rd fret of the A, 1, 2, 3. The 7th fret of the A is your 3rd note with your ring finger there. And if you keep walking up to the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th note in the scale is the 3rd fret of the E. So you have a 3 here on the 7th fret of the A and a 5 here on the 3rd fret of the E. If that's complicated, don't worry about it. It'll make more sense by and by. So from here, we're going to start our Dean Webb lick. And if you don't know that, you can check it out here. Here's what it sounds like. All right, so you're sliding into that major 3rd, which is the 7th fret of the A. 1, E, and A. The E of 1 is going to be the upstroke on the 3rd fret of the E. 1, E, and A, 2, E, and A. So the second beat hits that 5th fret of the E, comes back to the 3rd fret. 1, E, and A, 2, E, and A. And then the last 2 beats sound like this. 3, E, and A, 4, E, and. So this is a nice little lick out of the closed position in C. So you're starting with your little finger on the C note, which is the 8th fret of the E. You're going to come down to the 5th fret. 3, E, and. So that's 8, 5, 3. You're going to cross over on your upstroke to the 7th fret of the A. Then get the 5th fret and come back to the 7th fret. And then end on your 3rd fret of the A. All right, that's your Dean Webb lick. 1, E, and a 2, E, and a 3, E, and a 4, E, and. It's just a great Swiss Army knife lick you can use in all kinds of songs and tunes. So here's what we got. We got our 13 double stop to begin with. The dominant 7 double stop, which is 8 and 5. So we start out on 10 and 7. Then you go to 8 and 5. And then we play our Dean Webb lick in C. This is going to be our repeating system, okay? So as we know, because the mandolin is tuned in fifths, you can play this same thing in D. If you start on the 12th fret of the D string and the 9th fret of the A. That's going to be our first double stop over the beginning of the D chord, the 5 chord. Again, we pull that down 2 frets to create the dominant 7th sound that's going to pull our ear back to G. And then we're going to end up in this Dean Webb lick in G, which is going to be 9th fret of the D, 5th fret of the A. It's modular. It's the same thing as we learned in C here. Okay, so we are halfway through now. Let's take it from the top. I'm going very slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and go. And 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. Dean Webb. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. And D chord. Here's your 7th. Back to G with the Dean Webb lick. So I will sing the verse as we play this backup. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There's a well-beaten path down this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. So we could just do that again, but let's change it up just a little bit and keep some of the modular principles the same. So now we're going to have a 13 double stop with the 12th fret of the G, ring finger, and your first finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the D. That's still a 1 and a 3, still a 13 double stop, just like it was up here. Same notes, just an octave lower, different frets. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, pull it down to the dominant 7th sound, which is going to lead us into the 35, now low in the bottom octave in C. It's going to sound like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. So this is the same thing as we started out with. It's just low now. So starting on 12 and 9, pulling that down to 10 and 7, then finding your 35 and C. That's going to be where our low Dean Webb lick is going to take place. okay? Then we're gonna play the simple arpeggio lick. If you don't know that, check it out here. Over the D chord, the last D chord. 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and we're gonna close out with this little bouncy tag lick. 1 and a 2 and a 3. So I'll call this out for you note for note. It's a little tricky. It starts out with a long note, an 8th note, 5th fret of the D. 1. You'll start over with your, this is the modern count by the way. You're gonna start over with your downstroke on the 7th fret of the G. 1 and with your upstroke, you'll bounce to the open G. 1 and that's with your ring finger. 1 and then middle finger on the 5th fret of the G. 2 E. Again, you'll bounce with your upstroke to the open G. 1 and 2 E. The and of 2 is going to be the 4th fret of the G, downstroke, and the of 2 is going to be the open D. And then you're going to play your 5th fret of the D with your middle finger. 3. Okay, this is what we got so far. 1 and 2 E and 3. From there, you can kind of get back into your little 13 2-finger G chord here low, 4 and 5 on the G and the D strings. So this whole little bit sounds like this. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. You can start chopping there. If you don't chop there ever, that can be a nice place to explore rather than just the big chop, the 3-finger chop chord. Different sound there. If you want to rewire it with your 4th fret of the G, ring finger on the 5th fret of the D, and then your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A. That's another cool voicing for a chop chord. So let's play this whole thing and all sing the verse. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There's a well-beaten path down this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. There I wandered alone to the place I call home. That's it. Let's go a little faster. 1, 2, 3. There's a well-beaten path down this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. There I wandered alone to the place I call home in those blue hills far away. That's the whole thing. This is a good way to get to know backup. A lot of times your songs are going to be going from a 1 to a 4 chord. You can use that passing tone high with this 13 double stop, pulling it down 2 frets chromatically. That's another little adaptation you could do instead of doing the full Dean Webb lick. Nice little double stop lick here. 1 and a 2 and a 3. You can also use that when you come back to the G chord. Let's go from a 35 down to your low 51. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. All right, so there's a couple of options that you can use there. And this stuff will work if you take it to A. You just have to push everything up 2 more frets, okay? So instead of starting on 10 and 7, you'll start on 12 and 9. So this stuff is transposable to a large degree. If you're going to be doing it in B, say, you'd have to figure out, you have to kind of hack through it to find out how it works. But you're always looking for that 13, the 1 and the 3 out of your chop chord there. You'll find it. 2 frets back chromatically. And here you can get into the 35 Dean Webb lick for E, the 4 chord, on 6 and 2. That, and then you can find your 5 chord here. That's a good place to find it, or here. Just little tidbits I'm trying to share with you here. Let's check out another chord form real quick. Your love is like a flower, okay? how would this work? How can we parlay some of what we just learned on Blue Ridge Cabin Home into Your Love's Like a Flower, which is 1, 4, 1, 5 instead of 1, 4, 5 going around the circle like Blue Ridge Cabin Home. Okay, so we can kind of start out the same because it goes from 1 to 4. Oh, they tell me your love's like a flower in the spring. Then it comes back to the 1 chord, okay? So you can play your Dean Webb lick there. That would work good, and you can go into the little simple arpeggio lick over the 5 chord. That would work good. Or you could do the Dean Webb lick. You got options. Okay, so let's sing the verse and play this stuff. Going slowly. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. It was long, long ago in the springtime. We were sitting on the banks of the sea. Let's just repeat that. When you whispered so sweetly, I love you, as the waters murmured a tune. Okay, what happened there? We got a split bar at the end. Okay, so we couldn't do our full Dean Webb lick and into the simple improv lick over the D chord. What could you do there instead? You could split the simple improv lick. You could go like, that would be good. Or you could play more tremolo. But it's kind of even better with the 8th notes, or the simple way to do it. That's a good way to do it right there. Okay, so let's play all that again from the top of the verse. 1, 2, ready, go. Long, long ago in the springtime, we were sitting on the banks of the sea. When you whispered so sweetly, I love you, as the water murmured a tune. That's a good way to do that. Again, you can also use that other 35-ish lick that we learned in Blue Ridge Cabin Home. That's another little 1-5-1 you can do. The main thing I want to communicate here is that dominant 7th move that's leading the ear from the 1 to the 4 chord, and get that Dean Webb lick underneath your fingers, and also this other 35 lick. You could just play that lick the whole time. Change it up. There, that was a low 51, and then going into your D7, 5 and 4 on the G and D, and then landing on your 3 and the 1, 4th fret of the G, 5th fret of the D. A little chromatic half step, a little back step there if you like. Okay, that is the lesson, so please join us for the workshop if you'd like to. If you like the video, please give us a like, and you can share it if you want to. Leave a little comment what you like, what you want to see more of. If there's any clarification that I can help with, always happy to do that. And if you want to support the channel further, please think about becoming a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Noya Mountain Music. That is really helping us deliver a new video each week here for you, which we love to do because we love to share the music. So in the meantime, hope you're having a lovely end to the summer. Hope to see some of y'all at the workshop, and we will catch you next time.